Every woman carries within her a power so deep, so unshakable, it doesn't need to be announced. But most of the world has taught her to explain, to justify, to constantly prove she belongs. And in that noise, she forgot the language of her own heart. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the ground where transformation takes root. When she grows quiet, she hears things others miss. The whispers of her own intuition, the truth hiding behind the chaos, the pulse of her next move. The world can scream its opinions, but her silence becomes a shield. She no longer reacts to every word, every doubt, every provocation. She becomes untouchable. Silence is a shield that protects energy and focus. Most people don't realize how much of their mental and emotional energy is drained by unnecessary words, endless explanations, and constant engagement in conversations that do not serve them. When a woman chooses silence, she is not retreating from life, she is preserving herself for what truly matters. She understands that every word spoken carries weight, every response given requires energy, and every interaction has the power to either strengthen her or scatter her focus. Silence becomes her invisible armor, protecting her from the noise of the world and the demands of those who expect her to give without pause. When she remains silent in moments when others expect a reaction, she is not powerless, she is in control. She no longer allows others to pull her into battles that are not worth fighting. She knows that engaging with negativity only feeds it, and instead, she conserves her strength for battles that truly define her path. In her silence, she finds clarity, and in that clarity, she gains the power to make decisions that align with her vision. Her quietness is not emptiness, it is full of intention, holding back her words like an archer holds back an arrow, waiting for the perfect moment to release. This kind of silence also guards her from distractions. The world is full of opinions, judgments, and noise that can blur her sense of direction. When she withdraws into silence, she shuts out the clutter and hears her own thoughts with greater precision. She becomes deeply aware of what she wants, what she values, and where she's heading. The absence of constant chatter allows her to notice details others overlook. The subtle shifts in people's behavior, the small opportunities hidden in the background, the truths that only patience and stillness can reveal. Energy is a limited resource, and she understands that once it is scattered, it cannot be easily regained. Silence keeps her energy contained, like a river that flows powerfully because its banks hold it in place. Without the constant leakage of words and reactions, she is able to channel her strength into her goals. Instead of wasting her time defending herself against misunderstandings, she lets her results speak. Instead of trying to convince others of her worth, she works quietly on becoming undeniable. In a world that rewards noise and visibility, her silence sets her apart. People may underestimate her, thinking her quietness means she is not paying attention, but in truth, she is noticing everything. Her silence creates a mystery that draws others in, makes them curious, and sometimes even unsettles them. They cannot predict her moves because she does not broadcast them. They cannot weaken her resolve because they do not know her inner thoughts. Her shield is not made of steel. It is made of discipline, patience, and the refusal to waste her words on anything that does not serve her purpose. By choosing silence, she is not only protecting herself from external chaos, but also from internal doubt. Words, especially in the heat of emotion, can create confusion in the mind. Silence allows her to process before speaking, to understand before acting. This discipline means she rarely has to apologize for rash decisions or regret the things she has said. Her silence keeps her centered, keeps her steady, and keeps her moving toward her vision with precision and purpose. It is her protection, her strength, and her quiet rebellion against a world that demands she be loud just to be seen. Self-focus replaces the need for external validation. From a young age, many women are taught to measure their worth through the eyes of others, to seek approval, to wait for recognition. to feel valuable only when someone else says they are. This constant craving for validation becomes an invisible chain, keeping them tied to opinions, expectations, and judgments that may have nothing to do with their true potential. But when a woman turns inward and focuses on herself, something begins to shift. She stops living for applause and starts living for alignment. She no longer needs the world to agree with her path. She only needs to know that it is hers. Self-focus is the act of redirecting attention from what others think to what truly matters to one's own growth and fulfillment. Instead of obsessing over how her choices are perceived, she invests her time in becoming the best version of herself. She spends more time developing her skills, nurturing her mental and physical well-being, and pursuing the goals that give her life meaning. This shift in focus creates a deep sense of independence. She no longer has to wait for someone to say, "You're doing well," because she can see her own progress. She knows she is growing because her own reflection tells her so, not because the crowd approves. When she focuses on herself, she becomes less reactive to criticism. She understands that other people's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and limitations. What once might have shaken her now barely touches her. She doesn't need to convince everyone to agree with her decisions, because her self-focus has built a strong foundation of self-trust. This trust is what allows her to take risks, explore new paths, and make bold moves without the fear of being misunderstood. External validation often makes people feel temporarily good, but leaves them dependent on constant reassurance. Self-focus, on the other hand, creates a lasting sense of self-worth that doesn't fade when the compliments stop coming. She learns to be proud of the work she puts in even when no one is watching. She celebrates small victories quietly, understanding that growth is not always visible to others, but is deeply felt within herself. Focusing on herself also means she stops comparing her journey to others. She knows that comparison is a thief of joy and a constant drain on energy. Instead of measuring her progress against someone else's timeline, she measures it against her own past self. She sees how far she has come, how much she has learned, and how much stronger she has become. This personal measure of success becomes far more satisfying than any outside praise could ever be. In this self-focused state, her motivation shifts from wanting to impress to wanting to improve. She is no longer performing for an audience. She is building for her own legacy. She is not chasing attention, she is creating results. And in the process, she begins to radiate a quiet confidence that draws the right opportunities and people into her life. Ironically, by no longer seeking validation, she often receives more respect and admiration, because people are naturally drawn to those who are secure within themselves. Self-focus becomes her anchor in a noisy world. While others are distracted by trends, opinions, and fleeting recognition, she stays grounded in what matters most to her. She moves with intention, spends her energy wisely, and directs her efforts toward what truly builds her future. Every time she chooses self-focus over external approval, she strengthens her independence, deepens her self-respect, and builds a life that feels fulfilling from the inside out. Quiet observation reveals opportunities others miss. In a world where everyone is rushing to speak, to share, to prove their presence, the one who chooses to watch silently gains a kind of advantage that cannot be taught. When a woman practices quiet observation, she is not disengaged, she is deeply tuned in. Her eyes catch details the noisy ones overlook. She notices the subtle changes in people's expressions, the tone behind their words, and the dynamics that unfold in a room before anyone else realizes what's happening. While others are distracted by the urge to be heard, she is gathering information that allows her to move with precision and purpose. Opportunities are often hidden in plain sight, but they require stillness to be recognized. A sudden pause in conversation, a problem no one is willing to solve, a gap in the way things are done. These are all openings for someone who is paying attention. Her quiet observation acts like a radar, picking up on the possibilities others step right over. She doesn't need to chase after every chance loudly. Instead, she positions herself exactly where she needs to be, ready to act when the timing is right. This patience allows her to take advantage of situations with minimal effort and maximum impact. When she listens more than she speaks, people tend to reveal more than they realize. They fill the silence with truths, concerns, and hints about what they really want or need. In this way, her quietness becomes a source of insight. She learns not just what is being said, but also what is being left unsaid. She becomes a reader of intentions, able to discern who is genuine, who is opportunistic, and who can be trusted. This awareness gives her a strategic edge in relationships, work, and life. Quiet observation also teaches her timing, one of the most powerful skills a person can have. Many fail not because they lack ability, but because they move at the wrong moment. By watching closely, she learns when to step forward and when to hold back. She can sense when a door is about to open and when one is about to close. Her awareness allows her to navigate situations with grace, avoiding unnecessary conflict and seizing chances when the odds are in her favor. In environments where competition is high, being the loudest voice can sometimes make one predictable. But the one who watches quietly keeps others guessing. They cannot measure her intentions because she does not reveal them. They do not know her next step until it's already made. This unpredictability can be a powerful form of strength as it prevents others from interfering with her plans. She becomes the kind of person who can shift the direction of a situation without anyone realizing how she did it. Quiet observation also fuels creativity. By noticing the patterns and gaps others ignore, she can create solutions and ideas that stand out. She doesn't just react to what's in front of her. She envisions what could be. This ability to see beyond the obvious often leads her to paths that feel almost invisible to others until she has already walked them. Through watching and learning, she develops a deep understanding of her surroundings and herself. She sees how people operate, how situations evolve, and how success often depends on noticing the smallest of details. Where others rely on speed and volume, she relies on awareness and timing, turning her quietness into a skill that allows her to uncover opportunities that would otherwise pass unnoticed. Inner strength grows when distractions fade. In a world that constantly pulls attention in every direction, strength is often scattered before it even has the chance to form. Distractions come in many shapes. The endless stream of opinions from others, the noise of social media, the pull of unimportant conversations, and the temptation to react to everything that happens around us. For a woman who chooses to minimize these distractions, the difference is profound. She starts to notice that when the noise fades, she can hear her own thoughts more clearly. Her decisions become sharper, her actions more deliberate, and her confidence more deeply rooted in who she is rather than in the approval or disapproval of others. Distractions weaken because they constantly demand small pieces of attention, leaving little room for focused energy. When she sets boundaries around her time, her conversations, and her environment, she begins to reclaim the energy that was once wasted on things that added no value to her life. Instead of allowing her mind to be pulled in 100 different directions, she chooses to channel it toward building herself, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. This consistent investment in herself becomes the foundation of her inner strength. The absence of distractions doesn't mean life becomes completely quiet. It means she becomes selective about what earns her focus. She learns to say no without guilt, understanding that every yes to something unimportant is a no to her own growth. By filtering what she allows into her space, she creates an environment where her energy is preserved and her priorities stay clear. Over time, this discipline becomes a source of unshakable resilience. She no longer feels the need to be involved in every discussion, to respond to every message immediately, or to prove herself in spaces where she doesn't truly belong. When distractions fade, she also becomes more present in the moment. This presence allows her to notice details she once missed, to connect more deeply with her work, and to experience life with a sense of clarity that feels almost rare in a world of constant stimulation. This focus strengthens her mind because it forces her to think more deeply, to reflect on her actions, and to understand herself on a level that surface-level distractions never allow. Inner strength thrives in moments of stillness. It grows when she faces challenges without looking for an escape through meaningless activities or empty conversations. By allowing herself to sit with her thoughts, her doubts, and even her fears, she develops the ability to handle discomfort without running from it. This self-control becomes one of her greatest assets because it means she can face difficult situations without losing her center. As distractions fall away, her sense of purpose sharpens. She no longer moves through life reacting to whatever demands her attention in the moment. She moves with intention. Each step she takes is guided by a clear understanding of what matters most to her. This clarity gives her the strength to withstand setbacks because she knows where she's headed and why she's on that path. She becomes grounded, stable, and far less shaken by the chaos around her. In removing distractions, she also discovers that much of the noise she once responded to was never worth her time in the first place. The drama, the gossip, the small competitions, all of it fades into the background when her eyes are fixed on something greater. Her energy no longer leaks into places that drain her. Instead, it flows into building something lasting. And with every distraction that disappears, her focus becomes stronger, her resolve becomes deeper, and her inner strength grows in ways that are both quiet and undeniable. Unapologetic boundaries create unstoppable momentum. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate. They are lines that define where her energy, time, and values are protected. For many women, the struggle begins when they are taught to please, to accommodate, and to prioritize the comfort of others over their own well-being. Saying no feels heavy, turning people down feels wrong, and standing firm feels like selfishness. But when she realizes that every time she says yes to something that doesn't serve her, she is saying no to her own growth. She begins to draw boundaries without hesitation. These boundaries are not built out of fear, but out of self-respect. When she is unapologetic about her limits, she sends a clear message. Her time is valuable, her focus is intentional, and her energy will not be given away freely. People may resist at first, especially those who benefited from her lack of boundaries in the past. But over time, they learn to respect them. More importantly, she learns to respect herself. This self-respect becomes a powerful driving force, allowing her to commit to her goals without constant interruptions from demands that don't align with her vision. Boundaries create momentum because they clear the path of unnecessary obstacles. Without them, she would constantly be pulled in different directions, trying to be everything for everyone and ending up exhausted. With them, her path becomes more direct. Her energy moves in a straight line toward her objectives instead of scattering into places that lead nowhere. Every no she speaks with confidence is a yes to progress. Unapologetic boundaries also help her protect her mental and emotional health. She no longer entertains conversations that drain her, relationships that diminish her, or commitments that distract her. She recognizes that energy is a limited resource, and she guards it fiercely. This protection allows her to stay consistent, to keep moving forward even when life becomes challenging, because she has built a system that shields her from unnecessary stress. Momentum comes from consistency, and consistency requires stability. Boundaries provide that stability. They create a rhythm in her life that supports her goals instead of constantly disrupting them. With fewer distractions and obligations pulling her away from her focus, she is able to work steadily toward what matters most. This steady movement compounds over time, leading to significant progress that would not have been possible if she allowed every demand to enter her space. Being unapologetic about boundaries also shifts her identity. She stops seeing herself as someone who must be available at all times and starts seeing herself as someone whose time and energy are precious. This mindset shift not only changes how she acts, but also changes how others treat her. People begin to approach her with more respect, more clarity, and more understanding of her limits. She becomes known for her discipline and focus, qualities that naturally lead to greater opportunities. The more she honors her boundaries, the more confident she becomes in enforcing them. She no longer feels the need to explain or justify why certain things are not acceptable in her life. Her boundaries are not up for debate because they are rooted in her values and priorities. And with each firm line she draws, she moves with greater speed and precision toward the life she is building. Every distraction she removes, every energy-draining situation she refuses, and every limit she enforces adds to her forward motion, creating a momentum that is impossible to stop. Results speak louder than explanations. In a world that often demands constant justification, especially from women, it is easy to fall into the trap of trying to explain every decision, every action, every outcome. The pressure to be understood, to gain approval, or to defend oneself can be overwhelming. But when a woman shifts her focus from explaining to delivering results, she taps into a power that is undeniable and beyond argument. Results carry weight because they are tangible proof of her abilities, her commitment, and her vision. They do not need interpretation or defense. They simply stand as evidence of what she is capable of achieving. Explanations often dilute strength. They open doors to debate, invite criticism, and drain energy that could be better spent on action. When she stops feeling the need to justify her journey, she reclaims her power. She understands that no amount of talking can replace the impact of concrete outcomes. Instead of wasting time convincing others, she invests that time into building, creating, and moving forward. This shift changes the narrative around her because people begin to recognize her by what she accomplishes rather than by what she says. Delivering results is the most effective way to command respect. When her work speaks for itself, it removes doubt and silences negativity. Achievements are difficult to ignore, and success becomes a form of communication that transcends words. Others may try to challenge her intentions or question her methods, but the undeniable evidence of her progress and impact leaves little room for dispute. This form of communication is strong because it is rooted in reality and not opinion. Focusing on results also fosters a mindset of accountability and discipline. She sets clear goals and measures her progress by tangible milestones rather than external validation. This internal metric keeps her motivated and aligned with her purpose. Every step she takes is deliberate and directed toward producing meaningful outcomes. She is not distracted by the need to explain setbacks or justify detours. Instead, she learns from them and uses that knowledge to improve her results moving forward. Results build confidence not only in herself, but also in others. When people see consistent success, they trust her abilities and are more likely to support her vision. This trust opens doors to new opportunities, partnerships, and collaborations. Her reputation grows because it is backed by real accomplishments, not promises or words. The momentum created by delivering results propels her further, creating a cycle where success breeds more success. By prioritizing results over explanations, she also protects her energy. Explaining can be exhausting, especially when met with resistance or misunderstanding. It can lead to unnecessary debates and emotional drain. When she chooses to focus on outcomes instead, she preserves her strength for what truly matters: action and progress. This energy management is crucial for sustaining long-term success and avoiding burnout. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless opinions, results are the clearest form of communication. They cut through doubt, silence critics, and leave a lasting impression. A woman who understands this truth knows that her power lies not in how much she talks about her journey, but in what she creates along the way. She lets her work speak, and in that silence, she becomes unstoppable. When a woman embraces silence and turns her focus inward, she unlocks a power that the world cannot ignore. In the quiet, she protects her energy, sharpens her vision, and builds a foundation of strength that no noise can shake. By prioritizing herself over external validation, she becomes grounded in her own worth, unstoppable in her purpose. Her quiet observation reveals hidden opportunities, and her unapologetic boundaries clear the path for relentless momentum. Above all, she lets her results speak louder than words, proving time and again that true power lies not in noise, but in focused, determined action. This combination of silence and self-focus transforms her into a force that moves with intention, grace, and undeniable strength, making her truly unstoppable.